Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today we are going over the new quotations Dark Magician support. So these cards were announced a while ago, but I wanted to hold off on going over them because it's kind of hard to describe it, but I know for a fact what happens is you see this new card and the card that goes with it, and the only thing you think about is Dragoon, which is like a fair point. But this is actually a lot more versatile than I think people realize. Not only are the materials for it very generic, because, let's get this out of the way, you are not fusion summoning this card by its conventional fusion materials. What you're actually doing is you're banishing a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster the turn you activate a spell card, which is not a summoning condition. That is nothing. And then it searches a Dark Magician or card that mentions it, and we'll get into why that's absurd in a moment. But when you saw this card, your thought was Dragoon. Dragoon, 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 because why would it be anything else? But that's here. What I'm going to show off here is like a much more full embodiment of some of the things these cards can do. So let's get into it. So we are going to start off by showing you 4 different engines that you could play in realistically much of any deck and just casually access this package, which is hilarious. And the first one, we're going to do Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice. Now this one's funny because I think I did a video a while ago, like, a lot of decks have needed a random level 6 discard outlet, and this is the best one to ever exist. Like, back in the day, Dark Synchro played, like, the Tricky and things like that to mimic what this card does effectively. So we can go ahead, discard a random card. Let's just say this is our hand. And then on summon, it searches Sarcophagus. So we will go ahead, put that in our spell and trap card zone. Then we will activate this, and that will get us another copy. Now, as you can see, this is an engine that not only it discards one, but then it pays for itself and then gets you a plus, which is really handy for what's coming up. So now we will banish it, and that will allow us to special summon Dark Magician of Destruction, which will get the new card, the Gaze of Timaeus. And this one is very interesting because you can target a Dark Magician or Dark Magician you control or in your graveyard, fusion summon one fusion monster from your deck that mentions it as a material by shuffling that monster into the deck, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. This card is treated as Dark Magician while on the field in a graveyard, so that's pretty handy. But we can go ahead and like activate Gaze of Timaeus, and that will allow us to summon what everyone thinks you always summon 100% of the time, Dragoon. And you even accumulated your own discard outlet, so all you really did is summon a monster that did not commit your normal, and you still have 3 cards in hand to play your actual deck list. And now you're doing it with an Omni-Negate to back it up. So that's fairly impressive, but I'm going to be totally honest. When it comes to accessing a high-level Dark Spellcaster that searches a spell card called Sarcophagus, this is the second best engine to do it, because the first one is actually this one, Horus, because this is a Dark level 8 Spellcaster. So we'll discard this, another card, get King Sarcophagus, and then draw another card, so we're at 4. Activate Toss to 3 to dump another. We'll just say Happy, it doesn't really matter. Then we'll special these 2, special. The only downside is you will have to banish a name, which is not normally that ideal, but you work with what you got. And then that will search this, and then we could toss another one and then go into like the Coach King or whatever. Or something I've noticed, this is not the only deck I've noticed you can do this. One of the things I've tried with this package is actually, of all rank 8s, summoning Felgrand. Now, I don't know if I've ever discussed this before, but one of the best things about Felgrand is not that it's a monster negate or a protection. One of the best aspects about this card, and it's been that way ever since Sylvan's, is it's a disruption that you can still detach from it on command. While that doesn't sound very important, a lot of rank 8 decks actually need that material that's under it back in the grave. So having a monster that can just toss one just because and then target itself, even before we get into your opponent's turn, like, that's in many cases really important. And it is especially important if one of the materials happens to be Dark Magician of Destruction. So now we will go ahead and shuffle this back. And let's say I did toss another one, and I tossed, let's say, I put another M-SETI in grave. So this is at 2. Instead of going for Dragoon because your parents told you to, let's go and... Oh, I don't have it. Let me go and get it. Alright. Now that we're back where we were, we will go ahead and shuffle back Dark Magician of Destruction, and we will actually summon Master of Chaos because we put an M-SETI additionally in the grave, and this card on summon can revive a light or dark. So, in a weird way, you can use Gaze of Timaeus to, like, generate an extra body for an extra rank, which is really hilarious, of all things. And I don't know, I think that's really cool. And also, like I said, this doesn't have to be Felgrand. You can also do Coach King in this specific circumstance, and then afterwards you can turn these two into a rank you actually want, and then, like, I don't know, link this off, or Tributif, or, like, a Vanities, whatever. Like, however you decide to play this deck. Because I will say, this package right here lends itself to be a lot more of a control, mid-range deck oriented. You'd play this in a deck that's pretty isolated from other meta decks. Like, I guess you could play certain packages in, like, meta decks, but realistically, it's a kind of a commitment that lends itself into being, like, in other more control-oriented decks. So that is package number 2. Let's get these out of the way. So package number 3 is maybe the most simple way to access it, and that is Ready Fusion into Sandwich. As dumb as that is the entire activation condition on its own, because then we'll just banish this, get Dark Magician of Destruction, and then go ahead, pull it back, maybe link this off or whatever into something, return this, and then you go into... I mean, realistically, in like an anti-meta deck, Dragoon is, like, easy, but more realistically, if you're wanting a package like this that is so easy to utilize, you might actually be going second, and for going second, might as well summon a monster that helps you go second, like this one, which is just a big beater that gains attack for all the spells in Grave and Banishment. But there's also, like, so many other Dark Magician fusion monsters that are really aggressive at going second. Like, there's a bunch of Piercers. Master of Chaos has, like, a Banish the Field effect, destroy or banish the field effect. Banish all monsters your opponent controls if you tribute a light and dark monster. So that's, like, super aggressive. But yeah, that's, like, one of the easiest ways to access this entire package. It's just, like, Ready Fusion. So let's get into the final one. And this is probably the package you have already seen before, and that is Diabellstar. So if you start with Wanted to get to Diabellstar, special summon it, that's the activation condition right there. And then you can go ahead and set whatever. But if you did not start with Wanted, you actually haven't activated a spell yet, so you can't summon this. But you can set any spell, so we'll just go for the Azamina package. And of course, that's the spell activation to banish it. But we've already seen that, so one final card I wanted to show off, which is like a bonus to the video, because this is not part of everything I wanted to show off. Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis, the Thunderous, was a new hand trap announced not too long ago, and this card is kind of insane. So it is a Dogmatica hand trap that sets any Dogmatica traps, which punishment is already insane, but there's another one in context to this. But let's go ahead and show this off. So we'll go ahead and activate Deception of the Sinful Spoils. Next, we will go ahead and banish the Diabellstar, and that will allow us to summon Dark Magician of Destruction, which will get us the Gaze of Timaeus. And now, since we control these two, we can go ahead and special summon this, and this on special summon from the hand by its own effect, because again, it's a Dogmatica. We can go ahead and set a Dogmatica trap, and we will do Dogmatica Beast. Now, if we started with Wanted, we actually don't need to do this Deception package. We'll actually demonstrate both, because if you need to use the Azamina package, instead of Beast, you'll get Birth. But if you didn't, instead of Deception, you could also go Silvera. And I think I've gone into why. I think Silvera is one of the coolest, like, negation packages you could ever play, because it's one that just keeps itself cycling over and over again. Kind of like Guru Control back in the day, just attached to a much better body that gains you a lot more resources a lot quicker, basically. But let's say I'll just show off both. What's the harm in that? So we will start like we didn't need to use the Azamina package. So this will be set and this will be set. No, this one will be set and this one will be here. So we will go ahead and overlay these two into, you guessed it, Felgrand again. Simply because, like, oh, look, I can detach for cost. And then we can go ahead and use Gaze of Timaeus and turn this into Dragoon. So we have an Omni Negate, a Felgrand Negate, and this. What this will do is it will dump, on your opponent's turn, it will dump an Ints to pop an opponent's card to summon back Diabellstar. Diabellstar on summon, because this can summon from Graveyard to Banishment by dumping basically Ints in this circumstance. Then you can set a Sinful Spoils card. So we have this Omni Negate, this Negate, a pop, and then this Negate, basically. Which, man, that's pretty cool. But let's go the other way around. Let's say we didn't... Well, we had to use the Azamina package. So this one will be set, this will be face up. And this won't be engraved. So this will be banished, this will be in hand, and the Virtuous on field. And this one will be up here. So we will go ahead and tribute this, and that will allow us to get the Hollowed Azamina. And then we will activate the Hollowed Azamina. We will link... We will not link that off. We will go into Murcielago, and that will get us Morian. And then we will link these two off into like an SP. I guess you could do IP as well, but pretty realistically SP. Next, we will activate Gaze of Timaeus. And this time, we are not going to summon Dragoon. We are going to summon a monster I think is probably one of the coolest extra deck monsters to ever exist. It just doesn't really have a home. The Dark Magicians. If you play back in like 2010 to 2012, there used to be a deck of Infernity that, unlike the Wombo Combo Search a Bunch of Barriers, it was like Randomizer drew you an extra card every single turn. And that's what I want to describe this card as, except it's so much better, and any card you draw, whether it be a spell or trap, is immediately active. If you draw a quick play or trap off it, you can set it and activate it that turn, so even though its activation condition is activating a spell or trap, even on your opponent's turn, if you draw another trap, it's immediately live. Like, that is so powerful. But we're actually going to trigger it here. So, the number of random cards in our hand is 2, because the Diabellstar banishes, tosses 1 to summon itself, so that's 3 in hand. Then we also had to special summon this, so that's 2 in hand. But next, we're going to go ahead and activate the Hollowed Azamina Engraved to shuffle this back. A spell or trap card effect is triggered, so Dark Magicians triggers, and that's an extra draw. And next, we will go ahead and activate the Hollowed Azamina to go ahead and summon Illis Sylvia. And then let's look at our back row situation. So these are not a part of it. But we have this card cycling a bunch of traps for us. Oh, this is also getting set because that's what Morian does. So we have this card cycling a bunch of cards for us. A Book of Moon, a double pop, basically, a Banish and Omni. And like I said, a card cycling a bunch of interactions. And then we're still going to see more and more cards in hand. So that's like another example of what this package can offer. And like I was saying earlier, this package really does lend itself to be a much more control-oriented package. Like, sure, you can summon Dragoon in like a high-power mid-range or combo deck, but realistically, the commitment you're putting into these cards, it's like enough to warrant like playing them in a much more conservative deck list, like other control decks and things like that. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of an impressive package. I mean, it's really cool, and it's like, you can access some of the best tools Dark Magician has to offer without playing a single Dark Magician card, which I think is the biggest, like, plus of all these cards, is, like, you're not playing, like, normal monsters, and I think that's probably, unfortunately, the best part about it. Unlike Blue Eyes, Dark Magician has been given such a bad short end of the stick, but these cards are actually really cool. But that's gonna be it for me. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Nerflex will take your soul.